We have lengthy discussions with some of these other questions, but this one, I'm going to really need you to sort of dissect what I want to present to you fellas, because what we're dealing with here is what's considered to be two giants, two masters at the craft of what they do. Easily can say that both these guys have mastered their 10,000 hours. There's a reason when you think of the producers on the Mount Rushmore of hip-hop, Dre will appear there. And when we talk about the Mount Rushmore of MCs in the game, Jay-Z is going to appear there. That's why we thought it right tonight to actually find two giants to face each other. But with that being said, with Dre being a giant in his production world and Jay being a giant in the lyricism world, with both these albums, 2001 and Volume 3, let's talk production versus lyrics. And who delivered on their end of the spectrum better, in your opinion? You understand the question?
Oh, that's a very, very good question.
Yeah. So I had this slight discussion with Malcontent earlier today, and I said something, and you know what? I'm gonna stand on it. I feel like, to be clear, I'm not saying that Dr. Dre is a better MC than Jay-Z. To be clear, I'm gonna say it again. I am not saying that Dr. Dre is a better MC than Jay-Z. However, I feel like Jay-Z's rhymes on this album were a little, like, you know, when people were saying Jay-Z was dumbing down his lyrics, I feel like this was that. I feel like this was that era. This is what they were talking about.
Out of curiosity, do you have an example? You don't have to, but I would love an example of some dumbed down bars that you think happened. And I ain't questioning you, just as an example.
I don't think it was dumbed down. I think it was just slick. The things he was saying were just slick.
I mean, I think it was dumbed down because he did not rhyme on this album the way that he did on Reasonable Doubt. He didn't even rhyme the way that he rhymed on In My Lifetime Volume 1, the way that he rhymed on this album.
Both of those albums have weird stories behind them, which we've talked about on this channel. Reasonable Doubt not really performing what it should have, considered the classic that it is today.
But the bars were heavy, bro.
They were, but he didn't move the units he wanted to. So he changed up and tried to go the Puffy route on Volume 1. Didn't work from a fan base, but it sold more records.
But Hobo, didn't Jay-Z write the verse for Dr. Dre on Still D.R.E?
He did.
Absolutely.
He did. He absolutely did. But Dre had to perform said lyrics. And I feel like...
What are you feeling, buddy?
I might catch some flack for this one, but it's okay.
I want to hear it.
I feel like because I have such a high bar for Jay-Z, I feel like Dre did a better job.
You think Jay did a better job?
That wasn't clear. What was that? What was that? I didn't hear that.
Dr. Dre did a better job.
We're talking about...
Say it loud because we want to make sure the people in the back heard you.
We're talking about Dr. Dre's production, though, right? We're talking about the production.
Yeah. Are we talking about rhymes? Or are we talking about Dre's contribution?
Okay, so cool. No, I'm glad I'm getting a chance to explain. That's why I asked everybody. Let me explain. So we're basically talking production versus lyrics. So it's basically
absolutely Dre. Absolutely.
So let me just make sure so the rest of the room understands. I'm saying when it comes to production, who stood on their hill? Pause harder. You know what I'm saying? Did Jay-Z deliver on his lyrics that defeated Dre's production, or is Dre's production defeating Dre's lyrics? And we're only talking 2001 and Volume 3.
Jay-Z had a couple of slick, like, quotables. He had a couple of slick quotables, but the album overall, you really didn't. It didn't hit lyrically like that. Like the production on that 2001 album. Is beyond phenomenal. Phenomenal. That's the last fucking album he's done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, correct.
So
under that, guys, thank you, Ike, for the clarification question. Appreciate you.
I got you, my man. I got you.
I appreciate you, bro.
I'm smoking. I'll roll another one.
I absolutely am going with Dre because, like Ike said, those beats on that 2001 were incredible. And Jay-Z's rhymes were mediocre-ish.
Well, Drake production really fits that style. That's his thing.
You know what though?
It doesn't matter. Like Jay-Z's, what Jay-Z had matched Jay-Z. What Drake did to
you know what though? My thing is this: if you really listen to it, the Jay-Z album to me, it wasn't cohesive. It had all of the big producers on there. But to me, it was kind of all over the place because when you heard So Ghetto, you was hyped and then it kind of went this way, and then it kind of went this way, and then it kind of went this way.
Absolutely. He was
where
absolutely
Dr. Dre album, it can build up, but it never really strayed too far off course. It builds up, it goes down, and kind of takes you into like a story, so to speak, or a feeling. Where the Jay-Z, it was really all over. And the crazy part about it is I think the Jay-Z album had hit singles on there, but it was all over the place in my opinion. And that's the reason why, again, kind of tying it back, why my pick was for Dr. Dre too, because it was more of a cohesive ball of work versus the Jay-Z album.
I would say that Jay-Z album was kind of loopy, man. Some songs were strong, and the other ones were like, okay, this is not the same.
Yeah.
Like Scan said, the energy was just kind of up and down, up and down. Oh, you got a hit over here, but this next song is like, I don't know if this song should have been on this album.
Yeah.
But that's how I felt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fair enough.
Absolutely.
Trip, it sounds to me.
Jay-Z lyrically, I was my bad, Jules. I was gonna say Jay-Z lyrically jumped up after this album. This wasn't even the album that you would say lyrically he took to that level. You know.
Fair enough. Trip, I'm gonna wrap it up with you before we introduce the guest here. But obviously, I'm guessing you're sticking it out with Jigga.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to explain why?
I don't like. Well, what Scan say about Jay-Z's album wasn't cohesive, but really it had like 3 tracks that I wasn't really feeling off that album.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's 3 tracks out of how many? It's a good run.
You could easily count it that way if you wanted to, especially if you were spending money on the albums back then.
I didn't like 6, 7, and 8.
You didn't like the Snoopy track?
Yeah,
Snoopy track is kind of high. The Juvenile joint?
I didn't like that.
You didn't like the Snoopy track? Bugging. You're bugging.
Wait, which track? Which track we talking about?
The shit with Juvenile.
Track with Juvenile.
I thought that was okay.
Nah, that shit go hard.
Y'all are disappointing me. Wow,
That
really?
shit go
I
hard.
thought it was okay. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was bad.
It irritated my ear.
Okay.
That shit was hard. That shit was
Who that? That's Timbaland, right?
Yeah. I'm a Timbaland fan. I thought this was okay.
I wasn't feeling it.
We gonna get to hear that.
She said I brought her iceberg shit. She thought I knew Snoopy.
This one of those songs, like I said, I've learned to appreciate Juvenile years.
It's an acquired taste with this one. This song is an acquired taste.
I probably wasn't fucking with this track, but today, like, I listen to Juvenile's flow and I go, damn, that motherfucker was really original, bro.
He was sick, bro. Sick.
He was. I said, like,
Very tough, man.
I appreciate that song way more today than I did back in the past. Real quick, I want to introduce another contestant joining us a little late tonight. My man, the good Reverend Doctor. What's good, kid?
Good, yo.
Welcome
What's
back.
good, kid?
Yo, what it is, my brother?
Work, man.
Oh, Reverend, how are you?
Nah, don't even worry about it. It's all good. Listen, I got a question for you, Playboy. We can talk about Dr. Dre 2001 versus Jay-Z Volume 3, The Life and Times of S.CARTER.
Mm-hmm.
We moved past round number 1 and number 2. I'm going to catch you up just to round number 3, just to keep it fair. We were talking about production versus lyrics. Dre is a monster into production world. He's on the Mount Rushmore of production. Jig is on the Mount Rushmore of lyrics and being on that top MC sort of level. Who stood on their hill better than the other? In your humble opinion, 2001 versus Volume 3. Was it the production for Dre or was it the lyrics for Jig on his album?
It was the production and the lyrics for Dre.
Ooh!
Because I'm biased towards this project because I was going to say Dr. Dre anyway, because I don't even really like this Jay-Z album to begin with.
Speak on it, God. Speak on it.
You remember Dr. come in throwing uppercuts.
Speak on it, God.
And then there are other versions of this album because so the reason I'm biased is because I got to hear a lot of this album, mainly just the beats before, it's released, because during Black Lily, when Scott Storch used to play on the band every Sunday, he would be playing all of the shit that he did on that album. And I didn't know that they were Dr. Dre songs at the time, but when I heard them, I'm like, yo, this is you. And then when I finally got to hear it come together, like I jumped in this at the right time because y'all said exactly how I feel about that whole album. It's all over the place. But I do like that Juvenile record.
See?
I do like that
Juvenile record is hard.
Dope, yo.
My ear don't like it.
Skip.
Don't like it.
Skip.
I like that.
But
Who said Skip? Who said Skip? I agree.
Listen, good round. I'm glad we got your vote down. It looks like this round, when we're talking about discussing production versus lyrics on 2001 versus Volume 3, it looks like this round goes to 2001. Dr. Dre with another point on the board. Round number 3 going to him.